Do we think John Green read The Summer I Turned Pretty? Hi everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to be ranking the most criminal, heinous moments of The Summer I Turned Pretty. This show has consumed my life since July 16, and I'm sure if you are chronically online, it has consumed yours as well. The show is like truly on crack, but it's oh so fun to watch, even when I'm getting rage baited. And in the past, I've taken shows and movies that I've watched and I have ranked the crimes, like with Emily in Paris, the Twilight series, the Hunger Games series, and you guys seem to like those kinds of videos, and I have just been itching to do another one. This one is going to be long because I rewatched the first 2 seasons of the show and took notes and listed all the things I wanted to rank, and you're never going to guess how many things I'm going to be ranking today. 100. Usually when I make a ranking video, I go to tiermaker.com, and the way that it works is that you can do a custom template, like a single-use one or not, and I usually do a single-use one, and then you upload a photo for each thing that you're going to rank. That would be insane if I did that today. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to have the names of the tiers, but I'm just going to keep a tally next to it, and you're just going to have to keep up. Also, just so you know, I am a Jeremiah hater. Like, I'm team Cameron, but if I had to choose between Conrad and Jeremiah, I am team Conrad. But like, more than that, I am not a fan of Jeremiah, and if you love Jeremiah, you're allowed to be wrong. Like, that's okay, because these characters are not real. After making the long ranking list, I simply had no drive to get that creative with the tier names, so I just kept it super simple. There's Clock It at the top, there's Corny / Secondhand Embarrassment, and number 2. Third one is Stop, and then the last one is Cacao is the Bean. Last year is like crash out level offense, the stuff that truly pisses me off or makes me want to just shut my laptop. And the first thing I'm putting in this tier is the fact that when the show starts, it's the summer before Belly's junior year. It's the summer she became pretty. She was ugly in every previous summer, except ugly Belly is just Belly with braces, glasses, and a braid. Like, come on, I thought we left that in 2010. Also, Lola Tung is stunning, so that does nothing. Like, she looks like such a cutie patootie with braces and glasses. The next thing is Belly as a nickname. Like, she could have been nicknamed Belle, Bells, sometimes she's called Bells, but like, Issa, Izzy, Belly? Like, Tummy? No. Next is when Laurel, Steven, and Belly are on their way to Cousins in episode 1, and they stop at a gas station, and Belly walks in and immediately opens a bag of Cheetos and starts eating it. Like, I'm sorry, I had the impression that you're supposed to pay for something in an establishment before you consume it. So that's going in the 3rd tier, and then later Belly is in the Cousins beach house, and Susanna sees her and is so shocked by how different she looks, and she tells her, "You're in bloom." It's the fact that this is put in this broader context of Susanna's influence over the kids that I don't like it. So I'm going to put that in the 3rd tier. Next is Jeremiah begging Belly to go to the beach with him with a stuffed animal, and I'm not going to reenact what this part is. I am just going to show you it.
I would never throw away junior mint.
Come on, let's swim before dinner, please.
I can't. I have to go with my mom to Whale of a Tale.
Oh, man, I've been wanting to go in the ocean all day, but I've been waiting for you to get here. Please. Pretty please. Pretty please.
That is going at the bottom. So later in the episode, they're having dinner and Laurel is complaining about the kids being on their phones, especially Steven. So Jeremiah takes Steven's phone and chucks it across the room, and it lands on a cushioned chair. So the phone is fine, but that could have gone so poorly. Like, if my friend did that to me, I'd be like, what the f? So I'm putting that in stop. Next is Steven singing in the shower and Jeremiah joining him. In the singing, not in the shower. Although that wouldn't really surprise me either. I feel like this sort of fits into like the corniness of the show, so I'm gonna put that in the 2nd tier. Then later in the 1st episode, we're still on the very 1st episode. Belly is FaceTiming her best friend Taylor about sneaking out and going to this party on the beach, and Taylor is like, "Great, I packed you a secret weapon, just in case you want to wear it. And the secret weapon is just this plain fitted pink dress. Like, for a secret weapon, I was expecting a little bit more than that. That's going in tier 2 though, because she looks cute. Like, it is a cute dress. Then I have Belly falling in front of Conrad and Nicole at the beach party and then going, "Who are you?" to Nicole. The secondhand embarrassment, because why are you coming for Nicole when she has never met you, unprovoked? She does not know who you are. Imagine you're just with your situationship and then a girl falls in front of you and then gets up and goes, "Who are you?" If I had a nickel for every time someone made me laugh saying, "Who are you?" in the show, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it's happened twice. And this next one is Susanna not wanting to help her depressed son. At this point, no one really knows what's up with Conrad and why he's been so depressed, so Laurel asks Susanna about it. She's like, "Why is he being like this? This is not who he is." And Susanna's like, "Oh, he's been like that for months." So Laurel is like, "Shouldn't you talk to him?" And then Susanna says, "There's nothing to talk about." So the implication here is that she deep down knows that Conrad is being like this because he knows about her cancer. But either way, whether she knows or not, she is just being a bad parent by not wanting to talk to him about it or do anything to help him. You all can villainize the kids as much as you want, but Susanna and Adam are the real villains of this show. Like Exhibit A, this is going at the bottom. And then the last crime for episode 1 is Conrad fighting Jumper over a beer and getting into a fight, and Belly also getting punched in the face while trying to break it up. Like, that's in tier 2 because that's just embarrassing. Like, if you're gonna fight over something interesting. A beer. Now we're finally on season 1, episode 2, and the first thing I have listed is Steven's hip thrust when he talks about getting tipped by old men at the country club. I jotted down my thoughts anytime I had visceral reactions to anything in my rewatch of the show, so this is what I had down at this moment. Steven says, "These old country club boomers are gonna tip me so hard they won't even know what hit him." Then he proceeds to grab his balls and dick and hip thrust in front of his mother, mind you. This reminds me why I'd rather eat shit than hang around teenagers.
Oh man, God. Those old country club boomers are gonna tip me so hard, man, they won't know what to hit them.
So that's at the bottom. Then I have Jeremiah looking out at the country club pool with Steven saying, "Take it in, Steven, this is all ours." And they are looking at a pool of like girls, but also children. Like, that's embarrassing. That gave nothing. What is yours, Jeremiah? You were at a public pool. Then there's Jeremiah calling Belly his future wife to Paige at the first Deb Ball event. So this is after Jeremiah runs into Belly outside the country club and walks her in to show her where the debutantes are and where the first meeting is. So yeah, he introduces Belly as his future wife. Boy, did he jinx himself. Next is the boys crashing Belly's date with my number 1 guy, Cam Cameron. This is some loser behavior for all 3 of the boys. They need to stop. And then there's Conrad being a bitch about crashing Belly's date. The fact that she's upset about it for good reason, like, that's fair. And he says, "Why don't you go look in the mirror some more?" This kind of a thing makes it hard to defend Conrad. Like, this is bottom tier. And to top off everything I have listed for episode 2 of season 1 of The Summer I Turned Pretty, I have this quote from Belly where she's like, "I wonder if this is how crushes die. Slowly, then all at once," or like, "and just like that, gone." One of those two. And it's just this John Green Wattpad ass line. Like, did John Green not write "I fell in love with the way you sleep, slowly then all at once" in The Fault in Our Stars? Unless this is a direct quote from the book, in which case Jenny Han might have actually written this before John Green did. Do we think John Green read The Summer I Turned Pretty? Episode 3. It is Belly's birthday and we have a young Conrad explaining the concept of infinity to a young Belly. Conrad not giving Belly the necklace he got her, the infinity necklace, for her birthday is going in stop. Like, he just makes Belly and everyone else think that he forgot her birthday. And like, okay, it's a personal gift. Shy, embarrassed teenage boy. Sure, at least get her a pack of Sour Patch Kids though, or a card. Next crime is Jeremiah saying, "You're the main character, Belly, not her." He is talking to Belly about Taylor, and I personally think that less people should be saying things like that to Belly, so that is going in the 3rd tier as well. Then we have Shayla suggesting a $4,000 jacket to Steven to wear to the dead ball. I love Shayla. She is a queen, but girl, that is diabolical. Next is one of my favorites. This is when Taylor gets down from the bus because she's visiting cousins for Belly's birthday, and she says, "Belly, you little tart. Isn't Belly looking like a snack?"
Belly, you little tart? What? You finally took my advice. This outfit is snatched.
I have genuinely never heard anyone my age call someone else a little tart. It gives Gen X person tries to guess what Gen Z people sound like. So that's going at the bottom, but it's hilarious to me. Taylor flirting with Jeremiah by calling him Jeremy, bottom tier. And then we have Jeremiah and Steven pigging on Belly and Cam Cameron at Belly's birthday dinner. They need to leave her alone. It's her birthday, especially when they're like, you kiss Cam Cameron with that mouth, even though you're not a vegetarian and he is. Like, stop. Then we have Jeremiah singing Summer Nights from Grease to Belly and Cam Cameron at Nicole's party. Him singing that as it is, fine. Cool. That's what you do at parties. You sing karaoke. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. It's the combination of him doing that and the girls like getting up, they start dancing next to him. Yeah, so that's going in tier 2. Also, I think I need to keep a separate tally of how much off-key singing there is in this show, because I think we'd be at a 3 right now. There's a lot of that. And then Taylor and Steven hook up. So there are 2 offenses here. First and foremost, Steven did Shayla dirty. I don't think they were exclusively dating, but like whether they were or not, he did her completely dirty. She does not deserve that. He also kind of did Taylor dirty here. The other thing is Taylor hooking up with her best friend's brother. And in literally any other show, I think Belly would have the right to be upset about that for like not knowing. But considering the fact that Jeremiah and Conrad are Steven's best friends, and this entire show is about Belly going back and forth between them, she really does not have a leg to stand on here. But this goes at the bottom, and it's also a crime that Belly has been so obsessed with the boys that she never paid any mind to Taylor's crush on her brother. That is also going at the bottom. Now we're on episode 4, which is the shit show 4th of July episode, and it was at this point in my rewatch that I started to notice how much milk Jeremiah drinks. He is just constantly drinking milk. He is consuming an ungodly amount of milk, and I think he should stop, because people who are able to down glasses of cow's milk, I do not trust them. And then a bottom tier crime is Belly's dad bringing his 27-year-old girlfriend to 4th of July. To have a girlfriend that's closer in age to your teenagers than to you is crazy. Another bottom tier crime is Conrad saying, "I can't stop smelling you" to Nicole. Nicole saying it's lalabo, and then Conrad saying, "Well, I lalab it." I think that might be Conrad's most embarrassing line in the entire show, and I think it would have been way better if he was like, "Oh, I like the perfume or lotion you're wearing," and then she said that, and then he made that corny ass joke. But it's the fact that he led with, "I can't stop smelling you." Next is Belly getting really drunk on pomegranate margaritas and ignoring Cam Cameron. Belly just really needed to slow down because she had 8 margaritas, I think, and personally, that would have killed me. I would have been vomiting. But also, Cam Cameron deserves so much more because he's so sweet and emotionally available and normal, meets the bar, which is apparently in hell, so Belly needs to stop. Except she did accidentally tell Shayla about Taylor and Steven when she was drunk, and honestly, that goes in clock it, because Steven deserved to be eaten up by Shayla for that. And then back to bottom tier moments, we find out that Adam cheated on Susanna when she had cancer the first time, and he cheated with his secretary. Adam. And then because Conrad knows about this and Jeremiah doesn't, and Conrad doesn't want to be all bubbly and nice to their dad, he's very angry about this, Jeremiah throws mud or seaweed at Conrad and tells him to be nicer to their dad. Can you use your words, Jeremiah? Stop. We also have Belly falling and taking Susanna and her cake down with her. That was a hard watch. And then following that, Adam blames Conrad for Belly getting drunk and falling because apparently Conrad is supposed to assume the responsibility of everyone around him since he's the oldest child. And I think Adam should just f*** off. Next is also insanely heinous. Laurel finds out about the cancer, the cheating, all this on 4th of July, and naturally she asks Susanna if the boys know. And Susanna tells her that she's planning on telling the boys about her cancer when they get back home to Boston at the end of the summer. And she hadn't told the boys that she and Adam had separated. She was just going to hit him with both of those things at once. And that's a horrible idea to throw at both of them at once. Like, that would send me to the padded room. Laurel also gets some in this episode. Wild mix of plot points in this 4th of July episode. But she sleeps with author Cleveland Costello in her car or his car outside of a bar, and like, get it, Laurel, like, you go, girl. But in a show like The Summer I Turned Pretty, especially season 1, you just don't expect to see intimate scenes like that one. And lastly, for the 4th of July Trainwreck episode is Jeremiah shooting a firework at Belly and Conrad as they're about to kiss. To False God by Taylor Swift, just gotta say. Crazy work, Jenny Hun. This isn't the last tier, because what the this is the face of someone that is plotting 2.5 more seasons of agony. Next is Conrad giving Jeremiah his coffee at the beginning of episode 5. So Conrad is super happy for the very first time in season 1 because he and Belly almost kissed. He likes her, she likes him, and he's pouring himself the rest of the coffee, and then Jeremiah walks up and goes, seriously? And Conrad could have just taken the coffee for himself and let Jeremiah make more because, you know, he got there first, but instead he's like, oh, you take this, I'll just make more for myself. And I'm gonna put that moment in Cock It because I just feel like that so accurately depicts the nature of their relationship. Like, Jeremiah just wants what Conrad has, and Conrad is more than happy to look out for the people he cares about and just like make their lives easier. So that's in Clock It, but Jeremiah pretending like he doesn't know what's between Conrad and Belly, that's going in Stop, because Jeremiah literally goes, why are you so happy? As if he wanted the firework to blow his brother up. Next is Jeremiah dancing to Tyga in the country club. This is in every cringe compilation. Like, for people who haven't watched this show but are on Reels or TikTok, they've definitely seen this part of The Summer I Turned Pretty.
I'm so shy. Yeah.
Come on!
That's just going at the bottom. I hate that part. And then there's this scene in episode 5 where Jeremiah is beefing with a child named Billy. He's chasing this child around, and I think that's embarrassing. Is he a lifeguard and there's no running in the pool and that's why he's doing that? Yes. Do I care? No. And next is the old man being racist to Steven. This is when Steven is working the back room where these old white guys play poker and he's serving them, and they start saying racist things about Asian people that very much perpetuate the model minority myth, and it's gross. It's disgusting. It's very undermining. Steven just deals with it to chase the bag, but ew, gross. And then there's the other part of The Summer I Turned Pretty that's in every cringe compilation of the show, and that is when Jeremiah is trying to convince Belly to hang out with him while she's looking for Conrad, and he says, how come nobody ever wants to play with me?
My mom's been on me about cleaning my room, especially since yesterday.
How come nobody ever wants to play with me?
This literally haunts me. And then at the end of this episode, Jeremiah and Belly kiss. And I'm going to put that in Stop because I just think it's really diabolical that he went for this the night after his brother almost kissed her. And he knows they like each other clearly at this point. And then the opening of episode 6 is this stupid ass dream of Belly where she is waking up to both Conrad and then Jeremiah in her bed. And so we get shots of both of them saying good morning in bed on their sides. I hate it. I'm putting it in tier 2 because I have like no real reason I can articulate in terms of why I hate that. I don't like it. I don't like it. And I need more Steven moments in here. So I have Steven throwing Belly's hairball at her. He gets mad when he sees Belly's hair in the shower. So he takes the hair clump and he throws it at her. Very brother-sister core, but also gross. Belly plays in the charity volleyball tournament to raise money for the women's shelter, and Jeremiah is her partner. And he keeps sucking, not taking it very seriously, like, get it together. But then Conrad slays at volleyball, and I am putting that in Clock It. And then at the end of the tournament, Susanna tells Belly she told Conrad to ask her to the debt ball. Now, why would you do that? That's so embarrassing for Belly because no girl wants to be told that she was asked out by a guy because their mom told them to do that. And the next thing I have on this list is Taylor making a Team Jelly Finsta. First of all, Taylor being Team Jeremiah, all right, people had Finstas for themselves, not for like couples. Like, they're also not even dating, so that's weird. And then later in the episode, Nicole sees an incriminating text from Conrad to Belly saying that he didn't just ask her to the dead ball because his mom asked him to, he really wanted to. And Nicole, feeling played and upset, she steals Belly and Taylor's clothes as they're skinny dipping and then leaves them, which is actually heinous and mean. Like, Nicole deserved to crash out, but not like that. Meanwhile, Jeremiah and Conrad are at a party, and Jeremiah at some point says, congrats for the volleyball tournament, and then says, I know how much you like winning. Another thing that really shows a difference between Conrad and Jeremiah, but Conrad's response is, no, it's about doing things the right way. That's going in the first year. And then the last crime for this episode is Nicole showing up at the party and chewing Conrad out, and she says, you didn't hurt me, you wasted my time, after he apologizes. Clock it, Nicole. So last episode of season 1. First thing that I have listed is Steven losing all his damn money playing poker. He can no longer afford to buy a tux or anything for the dead ball because he lost all his money playing poker with some rich kids. You lost all the money you made that summer. All of it. The next thing I have listed is the funniest line in the entire season, possibly the entire show. Belly shows up at the country club and is getting ready with all the girls, but of course she's next to Nicole, and Shayla encourages them to talk it out. So Belly apologizes, and then Nicole goes, it's not your fault Conrad's a fuckboy, but you're kind of a fuck girl too.
It's not your fault Conrad's a fuckboy. But you're kind of a fuck girl too.
Again, clock it. And then another thing I have listed is John telling Laurel that they didn't work out because of all the attention she devotes to Susanna, specifically saying there's always been 3 people in her marriage. Gay? That's always a win, so I'm putting that in the first year. And then we have the guys' debutante dance scene. I can at least give them points for effort, but we need to put this in tier 2. And then second to last for the season, Jeremiah finds out about Susanna's cancer at the dead ball, and of course goes to Conrad to tell him, and when Conrad reveals that he knew, Jeremiah is rightfully angry and then punches Conrad in the face. It's so the OC.
You just keep it down. I'm not gonna keep it down. That is my money. That is my retirement. My kids' tuition. Sorry. Son of a bitch.
Oh my God.
You're a thief! You took my money! Hey! My money back, you hear me? Get off me! You're a thief! You're a thief!
I totally get Jeremiah being mad. Like, it's very youngest sibling core to be left in the dark and to not know things that you really want to know. So something like this would be incredibly infuriating for sure. It's just, why are we resorting to violence? And then lastly, coming back around to Susanna and Conrad, she says, I would have known that you knew, I just didn't want to believe it. Pretty much saying she didn't want to admit and confront the fact that he knew, even though deep down she knew that he knew. Actually heinous. Actually terrible. Season 2, the first thing I have listed is Susanna being dead, because how rude is that? And then the next thing I have is, so at the end of season 1, Belly finally understands the emotional weight that Conrad has been carrying. They make up, they kiss. It flashes back to when she goes to Jeremiah and tells him that she wants to be with Conrad, and Jeremiah gets angry and he says, great timing, Belly. It's not like my mom has cancer or anything. On one hand, I get it. He just got the news about his mom and his dad. He's having to deal with that all at once. At the same time, though, I would feel worse for him if he didn't go after the girl he knew that his brother was into. Like, you fully knew she liked Conrad. It's been like a known thing for everyone in this show that Belly has had this crush on Conrad since she was little. It's not lost on anyone that she likes him. So I'm putting that in stop, and then we have Steven's graduation speech, because season 2 takes place a year later, so Steven has just graduated, and he gives a valedictorian speech. The speech goes viral in the show because everyone thinks he ate it up, but to me, it was very unhinged. He rants about Shayla in the speech, and then at some point he says something along the lines of, the world is happening to you, but you are also happening to the world. And that has the same energy as Noah Centineo's People's Choice Award speech, where he says it's not about what you do, but what you do with what you've done. Next is Milo's cover of I Don't Want to Miss a Thing and My Own Worst Enemy. There's this grad party that Steve and Taylor and Belly are at, and Taylor's boyfriend Milo starts singing shitty covers. And then Steven, being such a dude about Milo and Taylor, decides to take off his shirt and crowd surf. And it's genuinely one of the biggest what the fuck did I just watch moments in this entire show, because why did he do that?
What the hell? Are you okay?
He literally punched or kicked Belly in the face. Like, that's going in the bottom. And the last thing I have for episode 1 of season 2 is Laurel low-key abandoning her kids. Laurel and Belly get into an argument about Belly's grades, and then Belly calls out Laurel for not being there for her and Steven over the past year because she's been trying to support Susanna and the boys, but in that she has neglected her actual children. And I'm putting that in stop and not the bottom. I can also feel some empathy for Laurel. Like, this is all happening to her. That's her best friend. She's trying to be there for her best friend's kids, and she's also a single parent, so that's all difficult, and it is a crime that's going in stop. Not much happens in episode 2 in terms of criminal moments besides Steven being really insufferable about going to Princeton. Like, I actually need him to shut the fuck up. Conrad does go missing. That's in the second tier just because, like, you gotta do what you gotta do. His aunt is trying to sell the house of his deceased mom, and, like, sometimes you just got to season a pot that's been stirred. So that's going in tier 2. Although when Belly and Jeremiah find him at the cousin's beach house and Jeremiah is like, you have to go back to school and finish your finals, Conrad is like, fuck school, I don't care, and that's iconic.
And this is you taking care of it? Going AWOL, ditching school, not
Fuck
talking
school.
to us?
I don't care.
Connie,
I use that on the regular. Fuck my job, I don't care. And then at some point in this episode, I forget when exactly already, but Jeremiah and Belly are on the road, and Jeremiah is driving in the middle of the road. He is not in one lane, he's just in the middle, and that's an actual crime that's going in stop. The prom breakup flashback is also in episode 3, and that's just going at the bottom because I know Conrad is super depressed, doesn't know how to be, and that's very real. He did make Belly feel like he didn't care at all, and Belly was frustrated with that, and that's also understandable. Again, that's Susanna's fault. Like, how dare she die? And then second to last for episode 3 is Conrad singing at Susanna's funeral.
Oh, where can my baby be? The Lord took her away from me.
Bless Chris Briney. Like, truly bless that man, because they did him so dirty with this. And then lastly is Belly fighting Conrad at the funeral. This was truly heinous because A, she made an assumption about him and another girl, and B, picked a fight in front of everyone. And that's kind of crazy to me because Conrad was so chill with it later on, and personally, if someone close to me told me to go to hell at my mom's funeral, we're not cool with each other. Like, that's crazy. Episode 4. Not much context to this one. Steven wears questionable kitty pajamas, and that's going in tier 2. Also in episode 4, the gang spends the day at the boardwalk, the pier, they're at the arcade, and they do this slow motion walk. All this to play laser tag, by the way. It was a very interesting directorial choice, and it's not the worst thing to come out of the show by any means. It's just corny. And then on Julia removing all other stuff from the cousin's family beach house, including all their mom's things. Like, she just has no regard for all these still basically children who just lost their mom. That's crazy. That's going at the bottom. Season 2, episode 5. First things first, Jeremiah peed in Conrad's lunchbox. I feel like people moved on from this way too fast, so there's a flashback to Thanksgiving where Conrad and Belly were in the middle of their relationship, and Susanna was telling everyone how Conrad convinced Jeremiah that eating the crusts on sandwiches would make his hair curly, and so Jeremiah, to get back at Conrad, peed in his lunchbox, which is devious. So that's going in the last tier. Everyone's sleeping outside the country club because the cousin's beach house is empty, they have nowhere else to go, and they all start playing Truth or Dare. So Taylor dares Jeremiah to kiss Belly, which is diabolical considering the timeline of things. And what's just as diabolical as that is Jeremiah gets upset for good reason, and then Belly asks him why he's upset and why he didn't want to kiss her, and then Jeremiah says, because if I kiss you, I don't know if I could ever stop. Personally, that is not something I ever want to hear a man say to me, and Taylor said that that is Wattpad level hot, and I can't help but disagree. That feels like something Joe from You would say. And then episode 6 opens with Aunt Julia telling the kids that she sold the beach house. I think it's so crazy and rude. Like, she's truly the pettiest woman. And episode 6 is also when we get Belly saying, this is 100% your look, Connie baby. The viral soundbite that was all over TikTok to Family Affair by Mary J. Blige.
This is
100% your look, Connie baby.
It is truly iconic. The amount of times that Lola Tung has gone viral for a soundbite from this show or from an interview for this show is so iconic. She's too powerful. So in this episode, because the beach house has been sold, the kids throw a party in it as a last hurrah, and at the party, Steven and Taylor do a dance routine to Party in the USA by Miley Cyrus, and it's supposed to be a dance routine that Taylor and Belly came up with when they were little. And honestly, it's corny, yes, but Taylor really ate that up. Steven, he's trying his best, but honestly, he's kind of slaying too. Like, I was rewatching this part and I was like, okay, work. So that's going at the top. But then at the same party, we have Belly falling, and then Jeremiah catching her and then whispering in her ear, "You don't need to hurt yourself to get my attention."
Oh shit.
You don't need to hurt yourself to get my attention.
That might be my least favorite line in this entire show. And the next is Steven and Milo fighting. So Milo finds out that there's a party going on at Cousins and Taylor and Steven are going to be there, so he makes his way up there. And then he starts trying to fight Steven. Emphasis on trying, and that's going in the second tier. Then lastly for episode 6 is Belly getting drunk on the beach and spiraling, because man, her whole argument, run-in, whatever you want to call it, with Conrad on the beach, I know that beach hates to see them coming. Let's just start there. She drunkenly calls her mom and tells her to come to Cousins and fix everything, and she had been lying to her mom at that point in terms of where she was. Like, Laurel does not know that the kids have been in Cousins, so what a mess. I'm gonna put that in the third tier. Episode 7, the home stretch. First things first, Laurel bitch slapping Belly. Was Belly diabolical? Yeah. Should you hit your kid? No. Stop, Laurel. Use your words. She did redeem herself by apologizing, made for a nice moment with Belly, and then she convinces Julia to pull out of the offer and let Adam buy the house. However, the way it happened was really stupid. They built this whole season up around this fucking house and around the secret of like what happened between Susanna and Julia, just for it to be very underwhelming. Like nothing drastic happened between Susanna and Julia. Julia basically held a grudge against Susanna because Susanna would fail to acknowledge how shitty their father really was. And that kind of thing is not new to Susanna's character. She really does struggle to accept the bad in the world and the bad in people and like bad things happening. But that's such a petty reason to withhold a house from your nephews for. And Laurel barely did anything to convince Julia. She was just like, yeah, Susanna, she had her flaws, but don't do this to her. And Julia changed her mind. We just need more things to be in the first tier, honestly. So Laurel convincing Julia, that's going in the first tier. However, bottom tier, Belly and Jeremiah kissing at Brown while Conrad is taking his final. Things take a turn because Jeremiah and Belly go with Conrad back to Brown so he can take his finals. And then as he's walking out of his finals, he's on the phone with Steven. He's super happy. He's super prepared to tell Belly how he feels and make up with her and be with her again. And then he sees Jeremiah and Belly making out on the car. And Belly's in Conrad's sweater, mind you. I don't know why Belly and Jeremiah ever thought that this would be okay. I don't know. 2 months? 2 months since they broke up? 1 month since their mom died? And now we're on the painful last episode of season 2. First thing is Conrad being sassy in the car. That's going at the top. Because what Conrad witnessed fully gives him the right to be sassy as hell on the way back home. At the beginning of this episode, the way he was just asking Belly who was the better kisser is so messy. But like, as he should.
So tell me, how long has this thing been going on? A week?
Then there's Milo's diss track about Steven, and this is probably one of the funniest things to happen on the show because a diss track about Steven going, forget that you're skinny and shit, thought you were taking my place, thought you were winning the race, you jumping off of the stage and falling, and kicking your fam in the face is crazy work. This is kind of a shitty diss track, so it's going in the second tier. Conrad clocking Belly's favorite candy and Jeremiah failing to, top tier. But the storm forcing Belly, Conrad, and Jeremiah to have to spend the night in a motel together, tier 2. Fourth to last, almost there. The night that they're at the motel, Jeremiah and Conrad talk privately, and Jeremiah says, you're acting like a dick so no one can see how badly you're hurting. You still love her, Con. And then encourages Conrad to tell Belly how he really feels and that he's still in love with her. And it's not really because like Jeremiah cares about Conrad all that much. It's more so because he wants to give Belly the chance to really choose between the two of them again. But like, if you know your brother is still in love with his ex-girlfriend, why are you trying to date his ex-girlfriend? How come Conrad and Belly fully dated each other and Jeremiah didn't think it would be at least courteous to tell Conrad that he wanted to pursue Belly. But Conrad's not fully blameless for how the end of season 2 plays out, because he does confess his feelings to Belly that night. But then Belly still kisses Jeremiah in the morning before talking to Conrad. That's bottom tier. But then our last bottom tier crime is Conrad then taking back his confession in the morning. Again, teenage Conrad is hard to defend. And the people who don't want Conrad and Belly together for that reason, I could kind of get it. You should be with someone who loves you loudly. You should be with someone who doesn't seem like they're changing their mind about you. But also that is part of his arc as a whole in the show, because he does change, he does grow from that, and he does try to become someone more capable of being a partner to Belly. There's so many layers to how f***ed the situation is, and they play exiled to this. And lastly, we have a quote from Belly about letting go of Conrad before she starts dating Jeremiah, where she says, "I evict you from my heart." Again, a very 2010s YA quote that kind of makes you giggle, so that's in the second tier. I never want to watch season 2 again. It's such a hard watch for a lot of it, but there it is, the heinous criminal moments of seasons 1 and 2 of The Summer I Turned Pretty ranked. Wow, this distribution is crazy. No, I love watching this show though, like it's truly so entertaining, and I wait eagerly every week to eat up the next episode, so don't get me wrong, there's just so much to it. It's nothing and a lot at the same time. I hope you enjoyed me losing my mind. I've already started putting together a list for season 3. So following the release of the series finale, I will make a part 2 where I rank the criminal moments from season 3 of the show. So I'm trying to put this out before the finale and then get part 2 out as soon as I'm able to. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.